you would have hoped to have done better. What went wrong?
I think it's a huge amount about turnout. I mean, 29% was really low for us. The postal votes turned out, and on the ground, despite having a lot of activists there, it was just hard to turn people out. It was a hot day, and I think that the mayoral elections had just happened. We just got people out to vote, so it was all about turnout. And when we saw those turnout figures on the day, we knew that it was probably not enough. But I think there was still a lot of support for Labour on the doorstep, and I think I'm still optimistic about next year. It was a kind of unique circumstances of somebody who was very loved standing down just after we'd had an election, and it was a difficult one for us. Yeah, actually, not one person actually raised rubbish with me on the doorstep. A lot of people said, Flick standing down, we owe it to her to vote to the person she's chosen. They'd had a lovely note from Flick, and so it wasn't a huge issue for us on the doorstep. But having said that, we know that there are issues with fly tipping, particularly around Fortune Green, Kilburn, and West Hampstead, and that is something we're working on with Veolia. We have our in-house a team that hold Veolia to account all the time, so we're always reviewing that contract, we're always pushing them, and it continues to be an area of real focus.
And then looking ahead to next year, are you worried now that in Fortune Green this could see a Labour wipeout there? Because Nancy's done well today, Labour further behind than I'm sure you would have wanted to be. We've got Lorna and Richards there at the moment in the three-seat ward. Are you worried about what will happen next year? Could you see the Labour Party wiped out of Fortune Green, do you think?
I think we've got two really popular councillors in Richard and Lorna, and you saw that on the doorstep. People know them, they work hard for that community, and the numbers were they weren't that different from normal. It was just a lower turnout, particularly in some of our strongest areas. So I do think in a different context, in the local elections where there's just a lot more profile, and we typically seem to see, it was last time about 10% higher turnout. I do think the Labour vote is there. I think those councillors have served their community, and Lorna, she's a local volunteer. She volunteered during COVID. She'll continue to be serving that community. So I'm still optimistic about next year.
Next year, is there still going to be that? Is there going to be a big focus on getting more BAME candidates on the list as candidates for Labour? 100%.
I think it's one of our big missions for the borough in general, to increase the diversity of leadership in every sector. Business, the council staff, and politics is no different. So Sabrina is our first black female mayor, and it's far too late to have that milestone. And I think there's a huge drive for all of us to increase the representation of the borough and make sure we are representing our community. So that's something we'll be very focused on running up to the local elections.